people, and not people of color, who have a history of violence against others. It is the Howley who stole my land, took our government, destroyed our nationhood, and suppressed our culture. It is white people who created laws to divide Hawaiians by blood quantum. It is white people who created institutions foreign to our ways of life. It is white people who brought capitalism to Hawaii. In other words, it is white people who have exploited and oppressed Hawaiians for their own benefit. And the least people like Mr. Carter could do is be a little more understanding of that history. Like most Howleys, Mr. Carter did not know or want to learn any of this. But if I did not argue for violence against the Howley, then why did the philosophy department say that I did? The answer, I believe, lies in the fears and resentments of Howley themselves. Here in Hawaii, Howley have grown very accustomed to the myth of racial harmony put out by the politicians and the tourist industry. They live in predominantly white or Asian neighborhoods, and if they know anything at all about Hawaiian, it is that we have a funny, unpronounceable language. We appear on television as activists or other lawbreakers trying to stop development, and we have a deep wound called the overthrow, when the all-white American government took our sovereignty. Yes, Howley and Hawaii are very nervous because they know wrongs were committed in their names and for their benefit. So, when an uppity Native woman educates one of their own about his white history and his obligations to Natives, their fears and their angers spill over into crazy accusations that, if we examine, reflect back on their own sick history of violence. As Frantz Fanon and Malcolm X and Angela Davis and Ngugi and a host of other black people have taught us, dark skin and dark people are the classic bogeyman of the Howley. White people know that all over the world, people of color have been brutally and unjustly treated by white imperialism. They know our grievances are real, so they imagine how much more violent we would be to them than they have been to us, because we have a real history of grievances. This is why every demand for respect and recognition of dignity on our part is read always as a sign of violence. This is why white people so fear black people in the United States, despite the fact that it's white people who have a history of violence against black people and not the other way around. White violence has a long history and a sick history in the world, in the Americas, in the Pacific, in Hawaii. White power and white racism are alive and well on this campus. Where else but in a colony would a Native woman be investigated by 3 committees for exercising her right as a Native and a citizen to publicly criticize a white man? Where else but in a colony would white administrators talk babble about, quote, responsible speech? Do they mean the responsible speech of Larry Loudon defending certain forms of sexual harassment in a student publication called Voices? Do they mean the responsible speech of Ian Reed, another white man, arguing the mental inferiority of women in the same student magazine? Do they mean the responsible speech of Dick Miller, accusing me publicly in the faculty senate of creating an atmosphere similar to the one that led to Nazi Germany and the internment of the Japanese? Mr. Miller doesn't know his history. White people made Nazi Germany. White people interned Japanese, not Hawaiians. Very much.
Probably stay with that Bible verse, but check this out. 2 Thessalonians 2:7. For the mystery of iniquity does already work. Only he who letteth will let, until he be taken out the way. Verse number 8. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Verse number 9. Even him whose workings is after the workings of Satan with all powers and signs and lying wonders. We're going to end it with this one. The book of Malachi. We're going to start at the top. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, says the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein thou hast loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, says the Lord Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage a waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus says the Lord of hosts, Yahweh. They shall build, but I will throw it down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against them, whom the Lord has indignation forever. And that is, Salaki about that, and that is the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Call Allah Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elect of GMS and anybody teaching a likewise doctrine with truth and sincerity. King Jesse out with another Bible lesson. So-called white man is Esau Edom, the devil the Bible speaks of.